So for those of you who don't know Avril, Avril's been in church for a little bit of a while. And she's a nurse, and she tends to go to St. George's, 11 or the 6. So Avril, how has it been being a nurse these last few months with COVID?
It has been different, interesting, busy. The hospital has changed really dramatically in the last 6 months as far as what we're doing as healthcare professionals, but as also as how unwell and sick a lot of our patients have been and the outcomes of their hospital stay. So it has been like nothing else I've ever experienced, but also bonding as with my other healthcare professionals.
So you work specially in palliative care.
Yeah.
What is the impact of this that you've seen within your specific area?
So for anyone who doesn't know, palliative care is looking after people who are dying or have had a terminal diagnosis. And with COVID, what we had as a team were lots of very, very sick people who died very quickly and died alone because they didn't have their family members with them because their family members weren't allowed to come into the hospital. So as a team, we had to break bad news over the telephone and learn how to do that in a kind and supportive way, but also pass messages from patients to family members and just, I think, go that extra mile, do that extra bit. But then there were days that were really, really distressing and difficult, like right in the middle of it all, where there were lots of very sick people, and we lost lots of very sick people all in one day. And I think as a Christian, which you'll probably ask me in a minute, so I probably won't go into that. But but then I also have to add that this is my job. This is our job of all the people who work in the NHS. This is what we do, and this is what we've always done. So nothing was special and nothing felt heroic because there are a lot of amazing people who work for the NHS and they just do their job and they do it really well.
Thank you. And today we are thinking of maturing as disciples, as Christians, and growing. How have you felt that you've grown as a nurse in these last few months?
I think the growing thing, I think, to touch on what I just said before, is that I'm amazed, I'm constantly amazed at other people's sacrifice for their fellow man and how my colleagues just went that extra mile, and some of my friends really suffered, and some of the people I work for example, they'd worked in outpatients for 20 years and then were suddenly deployed into A&E and deployed into intensive care, and they'd never experienced anything like that before for years and years, and they just got on with it, and they cared, and they worked hard, and they sacrificed their time, and all the things you saw on the telly, and I know there was a bit of overkill and there was a lot of stuff, but it was all true. And when you're actually seeing that on a daily basis, it's really humbling. And as a Christian and as a person, the love for my fellow man was really just embedded further, I think.
So how would you say that you've seen God within your situation, so within your work through palliative care and the COVID patients? How have you seen God in there?
So in our house group, there's 6 of us that all work for the NHS in various different roles. And we've been meeting as a house group just on Zoom for the last 6 months. And we've all had different experiences. And one of us was very ill, and some of us have been redeployed, and some of us have just maintained what we always have done. And I think as Christians, we've supported one another and looked after one another. We've prayed for each other when we've been sick, and when it has become overwhelming, we've been able to really support one another. And I think I realize that we've got so much as Christians. We've got so much love for one another, so much care for one another. We are so much more supported by each other, looked after and cared for. And I also think we see the bigger picture, and we see that life is hard. Life can be really hard, but we look to heaven, and we look to what is yet to come and what will be in the future.
Thanks, Avril.